But anyways, I was going to talk about why I came to Kuwait. So Rolls-Royce makes the engines for the C-130s. The Kuwait Air Force bought 3 of them about 10 years ago. And a lot of the customers have FSRs. There's a propeller FSR. There's a engine FSR. There's a Lockheed airframe FSR. Not all sites have these. Most of them do. The Air Force, Navy, Marines, they all have them somewhere. They may not be on site, but there's technical assistance somewhere. So anyways, Kuwait, it was me and a Dowdy guy here. There's no Lockheed guy here. Maybe they have one somewhere, but not on site. Long story short, Rolls-Royce hired me to be the engine FSR. So they hired me, they trained me, and then they sent me out here. I interviewed pretty well, apparently. I was in Qatar at the time, working basically as a mechanic, and I went to school, A&P school, 2005, 2007, and then I started working as an A&P mechanic. So, roughly 20 years, coming up on 20 years. So anyways, they hired me, and the month of training and split between Indianapolis, Indiana, and Little Rock, Arkansas. Indianapolis is like the headquarters for North America Rolls-Royce, and Little Rock is a major base where they have a bunch of these. It's a training base, so a lot of action there. Anyhow, so I did that, 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there, and then I went on over. I got my visa really quick. I rushed all that shit, paid extra, and I was on top of that, which I'm sure they appreciated, because typically international assignees, especially to the Middle East or difficult areas, they take months to get employees and their families over there. So it typically takes 3 to 4 months to get someone into the Middle East, and I got over here in 1 month, which is record time. Everyone at work was like, "Oh wow, we're surprised you got here so quickly." Like, I don't fuck around, dude. So we had a guy go to Norway also. It took him 6 months, I think, 6 or 8 months, something like that. And it's because, you have a bunch of immigration requirements for you and your family. And I came over here initially first. The plan was to bring the wife over, and then my son was just gonna visit, right? So I get over here end of October, and I'm in the hotel, a nice hotel, but hotel nonetheless, for the next 6 months. It took me 2 months to get the visa, so I have an ID. And then after that, I could get the driver's license. So now we're talking about like January-ish, I can start looking for an apartment, right? Company, pays for the apartment. So they wanted me out of the hotel. That was costing 10 grand a month. The Radisson Blue, forgot how much it was, 250 a day or whatever. So anyhow, so I was like, well, what about the wife, right? Like, we need to agree on this together. And the problem is, somewhere around first of the year, they did a family visa ban. So nobody could bring their family in. And it was only supposed to last like 2 weeks. It ended up lasting over a year. Not only that, but we had to be married. In the Middle East, you have to be married. And so we ran off to Georgia real quick, the country, to get married. A lot of people get married there, a lot of Filipinos and expats and stuff. So that's what we did. It was quick and easy. So the company paid for that, which is awesome. They paid the flight, they paid the rental car, they paid the hotel, and all I had to do was just pay for the marriage. So sweet deal, right? had fun, and we came back. I came back here. She went back to Qatar where she was working, and we were hoping for the family visa ban to be lifted. Well, it wasn't. And then by the time I got into an apartment, a villa, nice villa, 4 bedroom, 5 toilets, pretty nice place. I had to ask for more money to slip into there. But anyways, by the time that rolled around, the landlord lady, she was very helpful. She's like, if you need, I can get her a work visa under my company. And I said, well, that's really nice of you. Let's do that. And then the timing was like perfect. The country did a Filipino ban. So we currently have a family ban and a Filipino ban. So there's no work visas for Filipinos. She was in Qatar at the time and wanting to come over here either on a family visa, because now we're married, or a work visa, and then just, I don't think she's going to pay her anything, just going to have her on the books so she can be here. And that was very nice of her. But that Filipino ban just got lifted a little while ago, and it lasted about a year. Family visa ban was a little over a year. So come springtime of 2024, I'd already been here over a year, and I'm like, look, and the company also compromised. This was supposed to be a 3-year assignment. They cut it down to 2, and it was a compromise. Not only that, did Rolls-Royce compromise with the 3-year down to 2-year requirement, they gave us 3 paid flights for the year. So basically, and then they upped everyone's PTO time to 1 month basically. So all the FSRs got 160 hours, which was really nice of them. So combination of that, 160 hours plus the 3 paid flights wherever I want to go, I had a shit ton of Radisson points, a lot. So like 500,000. I stayed free wherever we went. I got them to pay for some hotels, but yeah, that's right. So it's 3 paid flights plus hotels and rental cars on any of those trips. I only got a rental car twice in the Philippines. I got a rental car, and then I made them pay for the hotel a few times, but a lot of the times I was just using my points because I could stay anywhere for free basically. So really awesome, really nice of them. Not only that, but we still had the American holidays. Rolls-Royce also shuts down for a week and a half at the end of every year for the Christmas break. So that's a good time to, take 2 weeks off or whatever, and only use a few days of your PTO. And I was taking the local holidays too. So when Kuwait shuts down, the government, the public holidays, or, whatever, then I take those as well. So I had a lot of time off. So basically, with all this time off, I would go somewhere. I was going initially to Qatar basically every other week. And then when she went back to the Philippines, I just started going other places. So every month I went somewhere. Oftentimes I went 2 places every month. So every other week I was going somewhere. We went to, like I said, Qatar a lot. I'd already worked there, but I was going there for 3 or 4 day week, mostly 3-day weekends, and then rolling into work. It was only an hour away. So we did that, and then, like I said, when she went back, started going to other places. I did go to the Philippines a bunch. So I don't know how many times I went to the Philippines. And then we went together to Abu Dhabi. Like I said, that was paid. It was paid for, free flights. A lot of the Filipino flights were paid for, hers and mine. I went to Greece twice. I went to Mykonos once. I don't know, I spent like 4 days there. I got totally burned, and it was awesome. And I just rode around that little island on a scooter, and I got drunk every day, and it was awesome. It was October-ish, after the season, basically. Everything, it wasn't dead, but the weather was perfect. It wasn't blazing hot. It wasn't overly crowded. And I had a shit ton of points, Radisson points. They have a super nice Radisson, so I stayed there for free. And anyhow, so shit, I went to Amsterdam, stayed there for free. I forgot if I paid for that flight or not. I did use, the company paid flights, but I was going, like I said, twice a month somewhere, so I ended up paying for a lot of my flights. We went to Phuket, Thailand together. So her flight and my flight were paid, and then the hotel was also paid. So Phuket was really nice. We did that a few days, and then on the same vacation, this was, like I said, at the end of the year type deal, we went from Phuket to Philippines. Spent about a week there. Yeah, so Phuket to Philippines, and then I think she stayed, and I went back to work. Where else did I go? I went to America a few times. We both did. She's been there twice, and I think I went alone once. So there's that. We had fun. Also, there's the Coast Guard boat going around checking. Yeah, increased security because of the war in the Middle East. Same with this dude. You normally don't see these. He's just a rent-a-cop. But anyhow, so what was I gonna say? So my job here, super easy as the engine FSR. I did not do hardly any maintenance. I only, I think, did a few tasks over 2 years. Super easy. Vertex, the V2X guys, were responsible of launching the aircraft, maintaining the aircraft. You had a crew, small crew, and that's what they did. The propeller guy, he was only here half the time. He left, so Dowdy is no longer going to be supporting this site full time. They just send a rover out. So I basically made my own hours, and some of that time we worked from home, or I worked from home, because we were out of power, water, there were no toilets, no AC, and so basically they're like, just work from home. I was all like, okay. So a few days I did, but most of the time I still went in for a few hours, at least in the morning, while it's still cool. Those guys, they had it rough. I mean, the Vertex guys, they're out there with the aircraft, and it's hot. 130 Fahrenheit plus, blowing sand and dirt. Yeah, it's tough. And I've done that in Qatar, and it tears you up quickly, and I'm not doing that anymore, and I wasn't going to do it in Kuwait. My job was just to basically sit in the office. Anytime they had major issues that was beyond their manual, so like factory level stuff, any kind of service bulletins or problems that we had with engines, I would get involved. If they had questions, I would get involved. Anything beyond O-level maintenance, which is like factory or depot, I would get involved, which, wasn't often. But when it was needed, it was kind of serious. So, we had an engine fail, that was serious. And just keeping on top of the things that the program, which was under NavAir, keeping on top of things to keep them out of our business, basically. So there's that. So my routine went like this. Typically, I got into a groove that I'd wake up at 5, leave somewhere 5:30 to 5:45, get to work around 6. It could be late, could be 6:15, 6:30. I wasn't checking in with anybody at any specific time. And I'd just go to the office and sit. So I check emails, check my calendar. There were some reports that were due certain times of the month. I would get engine files, once a week, and upload those. I'd look at them, I'd upload them. Engineering would get back to me if they wanted me to investigate anything or whatever, right? Or if they flagged anything that they see. They look at the files at the engines a little more detail. So most of my day consisted of YouTube. I watched YouTube, chit chat with coworker when I had a coworker, the Dowdy guy. Chit chat with the maintainers when they were free, just to keep in touch with those guys and their management. Just get to know people so they're friendly with you and they know that you're friendly with them, right? The Kuwaitis I had very little contact with. I did not go over there or talk to them unless it was needed. They never needed anything from me. If there was something they needed to know, it was usually a group activity, and we'd all kind of go over there. The Vertex guys, they go and they know the pilots well, and their management knows the Kuwait management, and so they're always doing stuff with them. But I was even told I probably won't interact with them very much, and that was kind of by choice. Yeah, I could go over there and chit chat with them, but it really wasn't needed, so I didn't do that. So like I said, mostly YouTube. I did some 3D printing while I was over here. I was using OnCAD for making 3D models. I made some tools. I made some tools for my job and my team, and I made some tools for the Vertex guys, and they appreciated it. It was just something for me to stay busy with. There's a lot more I could have done with my time. I was kind of lazy. But what I was saying was I would go in about 6 and then leave somewhere 12:30, 1 o'clock latest. Because during the school times of the year, if you leave after 1, around 1:30, 2 o'clock, it gets super busy. Traffic is horrible, so I would leave before that. So, like I said, I'd leave around 1 o'clock, go home, and I'd take a nap. And I would sleep, I don't know, till like 4. And it was nice. But, I would do 6 hours at work because I had meetings at 11 or 12, 1 a.m., sometimes 3 a.m. There was somebody's meeting that we were supposed to be in. So, I would take my nap in the afternoon, and then I'd get back on the computer somewhere around midnight. But compared to what could have been asked of me, what they could have tasked me with extra, it was super easy. I didn't have anything to worry about. There was a little bit of CBT online training that was required basically once a year. And that was it, dude. I had this job down squared, right? And if I didn't know the answer, which was often, and I couldn't find the answer with the resources I had, I would, ask coworkers and engineering. And then they would give me an answer, and I'd just regurgitate it back to the Vertex team. All I had to do was convince them, right? So that's the life of the FSR, basically. It's like that most places. It was also kind of like this with the Army and their Great Eagle when I was an FSR with them. Super easy. Now, some sites are slammed, but that's not typical. Even Little Rock, we had an old guy, Ralph Cook, you know, been with the C-130 basically his entire life. And Little Rock is a training base for pilots and maintainers, super busy. And even him, he's like, you know, chill. So there's no need to rush around with your head cut off. You just do what you can and then go home, you know. And if you got something else planned, put a little PTO time on that or whatever. But you were not expected to be a wrench slave, you know, like an MRO environment or an airline or maintenance. I mean, you weren't regular maintenance. You were there for technical help for major something bad happened. So now you have to look at it, document it, send it up the ladder, get whatever they said on top, and feed it back down to the guys on the ground. And you know, engineering data, recommendations or whatever, right? Service bulletins or changing major components that was not in their tech data. So for example, a gearbox, you know, pull that out, put a new one in. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal if you turn wrenches, basically your whole career. Super easy job. The hardest part was having people skills. I have people skills. They're not the greatest, but they're not horrible. Like, I do have people skills, and I've checked other coworkers in the past for their lack of people skills. And I'm like, dude, you can't say that shit. You cannot talk bad about the Marines, the USMC, in front of Marine pilots. These are the customers. You cannot be talking shit about the Marines in front of the Marines, right? New building, they're testing the glass. What colors do they like? What tints? Same with up there. They got 4 colors there, and they got 4 colors down there. Kind of cool. It's cool to see that. So I do have people skills. I'm not a hard ass, and I'm very easygoing. Sometimes way too easygoing. I do get the job done. The job comes first. Doing a complete job, doing it quickly, getting it done first, not procrastinating. That's what I do. But what I'm saying is I'm easygoing. I don't like stress because I get stressed easily. So I try to let the other guys know, chill, right? Like, I don't get paid to be stressed out. I don't get paid for stress. So that's not in the tech manual to be stressed. Basically, I will not, you know, do well with that. So very easygoing. And the other guys, they knew that because we'd always chit chat. Now, was my job stressful? Nope. My job was basically never stressful out here. I've had lots of stressful jobs working with the airlines. Stuff that was time limited, safety. I'm not saying there was safety here, but what I'm saying is there was times where people were getting injured because they were cutting corners and with the airlines. And you see about it in the news, you know, lack of training. It's all because of lack of training. You're restricted on time. There's not enough time to do what you're supposed to be doing with doing a good job. There's not enough time to get trained on this or train others. And there's a high turnover. I didn't have any of that here. Super nice. So one of the first things I told the guys when I came in was, I'm not here to do your job. I'm not here to tell you how to do your job. I'm just here to help you guys when you have problems. And they knew that. And so that's the life of the FSR. I mean, I could give kind of recommendations, but I'm not telling them how to do their job. And whatever I tell them was always backed up by something in writing, either from engineering or a document, whether it's, you know, a training, even if it wasn't in there, you know, in Rolls-Royce manuals, it could have been some training slide that someone created. But the number one important thing was to not just make something up. So I was not giving them suggestions that I was creating myself. Yeah, so that was important. So most of my time out here, there was a freight forwarding issue, some legal issue with Kuwait. And for many years, they were unable to get parts in. I don't think it was a complete blockage, but it was a major blockage. They were out of parts. They had a bunch of bad parts that had to be sent back for rebuild first before they can get a replacement or get the same one back, right? So major part shortage, even consumables. And what I was able to do, and I didn't do this whole lot, I only did it once or twice, but I just FedExed them some consumables, O-rings, small filters, gaskets, whatever, to my house, and I just gave it to them at work. Super appreciated that. So Rolls-Royce took care of me. Like I said, the villa I was staying in, $4,500 a month, I believe it was, all utilities included. They paid that. They paid for a vehicle, and there was another issue getting a vehicle. So basically I just did a short-term monthly rental, and most of the time I had a Prado, a brand new Prado, which is like a 4Runner, and then I had what I have now is a Jeep Wrangler, and these are all new vehicles, right? I told them I'm not driving some beat up vehicle. If you guys get a new vehicle in, I want the new vehicle, because the way they treat them out here, the way they maintain them, I do not want to risk having something that was already wrecked or, you know, had bad brakes or whatever. So Rolls-Royce was like, fine, yeah, get an SUV. They said full size, but they were a little expensive, so I cut it down to basically a 4Runner, which was safer than the Jeep. So like I said, we were not monitored. If we had left, me or the daddy guy, you know, if we had left to go eat lunch, or we went to the mall once or twice during the day to eat, or just, you know, we didn't have anything to do. So if they needed us, they could always call us, right? The Vertex guys needed something right now, they could call us. I kept my work phone, which I'm recording this video on a Mini 12, and that's what they gave me. They could reach me by 2 phone numbers or WhatsApp, email, whatever. And that was always available to them, and I always would drop whatever I'm doing to assist them, basically. So I did everything I could in my power while I was here. Did have a very easy job, and I can't complain, right? It was awesome. They treated me good. The local guys treated me good. Company treated me good. Like I said, I had difficulties with Kuwait, but we compromised, and the company gave a little more. They gave some bonuses, I guess, towards that with the flights and the vacations and stuff. So before I came over here, when I was in Little Rock, I think it was in Little Rock, somebody told me it's going to be really slow in Kuwait. And it wasn't emphasized. I kind of figured it would be. But, you know, that's what I wanted, right? They just said it's going to be slow, you know, either take some online college courses or, you know, figure out what you want to do on your spare time. And that's typical to FSRs, or the FSR job, basically, wherever you go. Just sit around and wait for something until you're needed. And that's great. That's actually what I like. And I was, you know, great, awesome, looking forward to it. But it was kind of funny to the extent that it was slow here, and my management was not involved with me whatsoever. Like, I wanted to be forgotten as a joke, but they really forgot. They forgot about Kuwait, and they forgot about me. And that whole war kicked off in the Middle East. I'm the only guy over here, and nothing, radio silence. Like, I mean, Iraq, We share a border with Iraq, and Iran is 14 miles from our border. And nothing. Like, they didn't even send an email. It probably took, I forgot exactly, it probably took 2 weeks until, I don't know, they must have realized they forgot Kuwait and forgot Preston after they had some kind of meeting like 2 weeks later. And then I'm being told I need to report on my safety once a week. So I was like, okay. So I had no problem whatsoever on reporting my safety or how I felt about the country once a week. That was no big deal. I'll do it every day if they wanted to. And I actually got worried because I'd been sick twice over here really bad. I don't know if it was COVID. One time, I think I had stomach illness. I ate something that was unclean or whatever, and that was when I was in the hotel still, and I couldn't leave that room for 4 days. Like, I could barely walk. I crawled to the shower, and it was just constant, like, shitting and throwing up, and I had to order room service, and I didn't even really eat, and I think I lost like 10 or 15 pounds in like 4 days or whatever. But something like that kind of scared me because no one's here, and if I don't wake up or whatever, no one's gonna know. Now in a hotel, they'll probably eventually go in there fairly quickly, but when I was in the villa, I'm the only one there. There's 4 other families in the same building on other levels, but sometimes they're on vacation. Like the owner, like they're only there during the winter, and not always. They have another house. The other families I hardly ever see. And what I'm getting at is, you know, you could die in your sleep. You could just like roll over and die, you know, sitting there. Or I'd gotten really sick and had no help. My management had no idea what my address was. The Vertex guy, nobody's keeping tabs on my attendance at work, right? So I literally, one of my biggest fears, and I guess I would not care because it's not going to be my problem if I were to die here, but that's kind of disgusting, you know what I mean? And it's kind of careless on Rolls-Royce's behalf. They, like I said, had no idea what my address was. They would have to go to a different company called 3 different companies. First, they'd have to ask, like, the local relocation company, hey, what's Preston's address? And then they would have to ask Global Zone, Global Mobility, and then back to Rolls-Royce. So there's like 4 layers. Hey, what's Preston's address, you know? How would we even contact him? How would we contact somebody to go check up on him? You know, how do you contact the police for a wellness check in another country where they don't really speak? I mean, not everyone speaks English here. So I'm like, what if I don't wake up in the morning, right? Like, basically, the neighbor's gonna call the cops when, after a week or a week and a half, it gets too stinky or whatever. And that's pretty shitty to have to think that way because your own company doesn't really care too much, you know what I mean? So that's one of the concerns I had working with Rolls-Royce was this was supposed to be a accompanied position. I'm supposed to have my family here. So if you had a wife or a partner you can rely on, you know, if you need help. For example, when I was in Korea, I broke my ankle, I broke my foot. And I actually relied on a girlfriend at the time to help me, you know, just buy groceries. And I used a chair with wheels in the house to get from the bed to the shower. And I would sit there on the floor and, you know, wash, you know. So if you don't have anybody, it's very difficult. And that's a huge oversight on my employer's behalf. They didn't know where I was. They don't know where I am right now, obviously. They don't track me unless they can do it through this phone if they really wanted to. But They never visited me is what I'm getting at. So there were some issues. There was one issue, I guess a complaint from 4 months ago from a guy I'd never met, or I'd only met briefly and said like 5 words to. He basically asked me, is there anything you need of me? I said, no. Is there anything you need of me, sir? And he said no. And so that was it. But he didn't like my complaints, I guess, from months earlier that we had no toilets. They were either overflowing. The sewage tank underground would overflow onto the ramp. So we're walking through it. So you might as well just piss on the ground. There's, turds floating on the ground on the airport ramp. So there's that. And then we had a water tank. So that was always empty. So you really couldn't use the toilets. And then electricity kept going out. Towards the end, the generator was about petered out, and that ran just our little operation. But the Kuwaitis had their own generator, and they kind of just wanted us to go 6 months without power because we were moving to a new facility. So they didn't want to bring a new generator or even a used one over. They were just going to let us go without power, basically. And it was cool in the winter time, no problem. We had windows for light. The other guys used portable generators for the laptops and the printers. But come May, it starts heating up. You have to have AC. And there is a lot of security here. Most of it's rent-a-cops, but when I walk through the mall, I pass this one dude all the time sitting at his desk, at his little security desk at the entrance. And he's a big dude. He's always sitting. Past few days, I've seen him walking. So I've seen this dude walking. Somebody's made him get off his ass and walk. And I've seen a whole lot more of these security guys. They usually are hiding either in the restrooms because they have AC in there, or they're hiding in their little booth because it has AC, but I see them walking around. So, I mean, yeah. Kuwait's, the danger here is the war in the Middle East and the Americans supporting Israel. So, me, being an American, I guess I'm in danger. But my employer don't give a shit. They don't know where I am. So back to the point I was trying to make earlier was there's a complaint about my attitude apparently, I guess from like 4 months ago, and then it's September and they're just hearing about this, and then they tell me and I'm just hearing about this, and I'm at the end. Like October 15 is when I'm leaving the company, and I'm trying to get a new job with the company. I have to apply, interview, and get accepted. And now they're like, we're going to write you up for this. And I said, no, you aren't. I'm not. They were going to they gave me an offer to go to Clovis, New Mexico. And I declined it. I said, I'm not going there. You guys are writing me up. And then you're giving me a new job. You're giving me a job offer at the same time. And I'm like, there's no fucking way, dude. I'm not taking this bullshit because you guys, my management, Rolls-Royce management, had no attempt to get to know me. They had no attempt to basically visit me or get a second or a third opinion. They hadn't been out here to Kuwait in years. Mind you, these managers, they'll go to the other sites. They'll go visit the UK. They'll go visit Japan. They'll go visit Germany, Italy, Norway. They'll go visit, these customer sites where the FSRs are, but they won't come to Kuwait. They won't go to Saudi either. So I was told this complaint made its way all the way to the top, Rolls-Royce Defense. And so I had to make my response, wrote an email all the way to the top, Rolls-Royce Defense, CC everybody, like, what, to defend myself, what happened. And I threw my management under the bus too, because they're throwing me under, I'm gonna drag them under also. I said they don't know me, they've never knew me. I met 2 managers for 30 minutes in my entire career here. It was a 30-minute lunch. That was it. I had 3 line managers, never met any of them. Rolls-Royce had never come out to the site in years, I was told. Certainly not in the 2 years I was here. The guy I replaced here in Kuwait, he had left 2 months prior to me even showing up. This guy literally bought himself a ticket and left, and then resigned. He said, like, hey guys, I had quit, I'd already left. And so management treated me really well coming in and throughout the entire time I was here. But I learned a lot that they're very double-faced and they are quick. I'm talking like a snake's reaction. Like, they will strike and just say, we don't need you anymore. You're at the end of your lease, your employment contract. We don't need you, and we're gonna write you up. That's so fucking stupid, dude. Like, I wonder what the guy that I replaced, wonder what was happening to him, because for him to just get up and leave and not even give the company a chance. Like, apparently Rolls-Royce took a penalty and a fine from Navair for not having a guy here and meeting the contract requirements, right? Food for thought. And so apparently this guy who did complain from 4 months ago, now they're just wanting to take it seriously. I'm like, I can't take you guys seriously for this. If you're gonna take this guy seriously from 4 months ago, like, they're treating me like Trump, right? Like all the people that are trying to claim he raped from 20 years ago. It's fucking stupid. And the Vertex management and guys were like, they were looking at me like I was making it up, because I told them what was happening and what their thoughts were of me. And they're like, dude, you've helped us tremendously. And then they tried to hire me because they knew I was leaving. They're like, just come work for us, you know? And they even told me when I came here, they kept telling me Rolls-Royce management sucks. And I'm like, they've treated me pretty good. But they kept saying, your management sucks. And I didn't really know why. Because like I said, I was being treated pretty well. And then I found out why they suck. Yeah, so what I was saying is my own line manager, she also agreed that we're all replaceable. And I knew this shit, dude. I've been doing this longer than she has. She's been in the military the entire time. That's one thing those guys do not understand, is how secure they are in the military. Whether they like being there or not, they have a paycheck. And then once they hit civilian life, they don't know what's coming their way. And so she's telling, like, she's trying to preach to me, dude, and I already fucking know. So when I had a conversation with my management, I think his program manager, he's all like, yeah, we were approached by the Navair guy, yada yada, and he just had concerns and he had nothing good to say about you and whatever. So at the same time, apparently this guy read the email he also sent. Apparently he said I was the best at communicating for this site compared to other people. So I communicated really well, and with that I've handled any issues and basically did my job. So sorry I did not smile enough for the guy or greet him, but you know, I said hi to him, I just didn't make friends with him. And he had made no attempt to contact me. They did not even tell me they were coming out here. I had to hear about that through another company, and their management was, yeah, we have Navair coming out here and they want to meet everybody, so make sure you're there to meet them, which I was. And another thing is they missed both scheduled meetings, and then they tried to say I was nowhere to be found when they missed their own scheduled meetings, you know, two meetings. And that's completely cool with me. Like, they're busy, they got, you know, they got stuck somewhere doing something else. So here we have some halo halo, some Filipino. So I knew why this guy was kind of complaining. I think it was because with the comments I made about not having toilets and water and electricity. But this Navair guy apparently was also complaining because I'm leaving. I don't want to stay in Kuwait. Basically, I didn't tell him that, but I asked for his help. And, for his help with the Kuwait government to get an exception to bring my wife here as like a last ditch effort. Because there's always exceptions in Kuwait with the government. And so basically I just needed Navair to be like to the Kuwait government, which they have this contract with, to just be like, can we get this guy's wife here? Just like make an exception. Long story short, he didn't even try. The two Navair goons didn't even try. And I'm like, dude, I'm leaving. If you guys aren't going to try, I'm just going to leave. And it's not just me. My entire time here, the entire crew has changed over, minus the management. So all the workers are new. And then since that September meeting about this complaint, a few other guys have left. So, like I said, Vertex had a small crew for 3 aircraft, and 2 guys left. One moved his departure up early because he was supposed to leave at the end of the year, and he's like, I'm going back Thailand. I'm going back next week to Thailand, and that's for good. And I don't blame him. Some other guys had left, and now apparently my last day I'd asked to talk to the QC guy, and he's like, dude, I put in my notice today and I'm leaving at the end of the year. And I'm like, good for you. And so they're super desperate. And like what I was saying is, they need people here, and they liked my work ethic, and they liked the fact that I would get the job done. And they offered to hire me. They're like, we'll give you, whatever, 100,000 or whatever, and you work for us. And I would have if I was going to stay in Kuwait, but I liked my job with Rolls-Royce. Like I said, I liked how they were taking care of me until they weren't. And I cannot respect them or the way they acted, because they did not follow up with the workers here, the local management, the Vertex guys and their management. They did not follow up with those guys. They did not talk to them. I gave them their email addresses, management's email address, phone numbers. I told them to call my line manager, gave them her contact info, and I just asked them, write whatever you want to write about me for the past 2 years, what I did, how I helped you or didn't help you. And they're too busy. They don't want to fucking do any of that. I asked one of the contract manager guys locally to do the same thing, and he did not even lift a finger. And he's friends with the Navair guys, so even though he had no response to give when I talked to him about this, kind of just smiled. I don't trust him. But so long story short is, my management did not follow up at all. They didn't come out here. They didn't visit. They didn't do a site visit. They didn't make any phone calls. They just assumed this shit from the other side of the planet. They literally just assumed it from 10,000 miles away and did not ask any of the people that I work with here in Kuwait. So I can't respect them for that, and I can't see their point of view. And so what I'm getting at is, management took care of me until I was no longer needed. By this time, they already have the replacement for me because I helped recruit him. I wasn't given anything for that. Wasn't recognized anything for that. I was just trying to help one of the local guys with Vertex. I was trying to help him progress his career and get him maybe I mean, because going from a mechanic to an FSR is good on the resume, and I was trying to help him along. So, at the same time, I was trying to get out of here in time. So they started recruiting 6 months out. But since it was a local guy, it was super easy. You just had to transfer his current work visa over from Vertex to Rolls-Royce. So super easy. Had that not been the case, there's no telling. There's no telling who they would have interviewed and hired. And that same individual probably would have had a lot of issues coming over here as well. By this time, the family visa was already lifted, but it's still very difficult to transition into this country. And I've been to South Korea, been to Afghanistan, been to Jordan. You're not on a SOFA agreement over here. So it's very difficult to meet all. And the Arabs are always very strict with their immigration. Whereas America is paying people to just come in this open border. It's highly illegal to come into Kuwait or any of these other Arab countries illegally or overstay. You're welcome. You know, as soon as your visa's up, you gotta get the fuck out, right? So that's my feeling behind this. The Navigator people were already angry. They were angry at Vertex for messing up some aircraft, you know, damaging rudder. I've seen a replacement gear door because someone had smashed that at one point. You know, so they were already angry at the people because it makes them look bad in their metrics. But that's not my fault, dude, and it's not my fault that people are leaving. It's not my fault people are leaving Kuwait and they can't get enough people hired in here to replace them. They're leaving faster than they can replace them. And it's because Saudi also is paying more for their C-130 mechanics. And, you know, a lot of these guys here, like, I just got hired in on the Saudi contract, so they're going to Saudi, right? It's not my fault, and Navigator shouldn't be angry and take it out against me for that shit.